Listen, life doesn't reward the weak. My disciplined mind is for people who are done talking and ready to execute. You don't need motivation, you need discipline. You don't need shortcuts, you need action. You don't need luck, you need intent. We're here to forge strength, physically, mentally, and beyond. Discipline, action, intent. Now let's get to work. I think today is going to be a good one. Today, I'm going to be giving you some insight into the lessons I've learned over the last 12 years of discipline and growth. 12 years ago, I stepped into the gym with no real knowledge, no clear direction, just the feeling that I needed to be better. I didn't know it then, but that single decision would change my entire life. Every superhero or villain has their origin story. This is mine. So around July of 2013, I'm vacationing up in Lake George, New York with my family. My family, pretty athletic for my entire life. I played sports, my sister played sports, my brother played sports. My dad was a beast back in the day. But we're at Lake George, New York, and I had kind of let myself slip for, like 10 plus years. I just let myself go with fitness, with anything. And to be honest, I never really even did that much with fitness when I was in high school. But during your normal family vacation, we're taking pictures, we're laughing, we're having fun. And then I went back and looked at the pictures, and it was a little bit shocking to me. I had always thought myself to be in somewhat good shape, but looking at those pictures, I wasn't happy. I got upset with myself. But it was at that point that I knew I needed to change the trajectory of my life. And like a lot of guys, I didn't walk into the gym with a master plan. I wasn't some fitness prodigy. I was just a guy who wanted to look better, feel better, and figure things out along the way. And in the beginning, I did what most beginners do. I lifted heavy, chased numbers, and thought more weight meant more progress. And that's when I had my first real wake-up call. I still remember the moment clear as day. Santa Barbara, California, 24-hour fitness. I was bench pressing 225 for the first time, thinking I was doing something. My girlfriend recorded the set, and when I went back to watch it, something hit me. I didn't look like the guy who was training to get stronger. I looked like a guy feeding his ego. The form was trash. The control wasn't there. And to be honest, I was really embarrassed with myself. And in that moment, I had to ask, was I actually building something or just pretending? That was the first time I really understood the biggest thing that holds people back in this game: ego. And if you don't check it early, it will cost you. Let's dive deep into the ego and some potential signs that your ego is running the show. Ego isn't always obvious. It's sneaky. It disguises itself as confidence, self-sufficiency, even grit. But when you really break it down, it's often the thing standing between you and growth. Here are some telltale flags that your ego is holding you back. You reject advice from people who know more than you. Ask yourself, when someone bigger, stronger, or more experienced gives you feedback, do you dismiss it? Do you instantly feel defensive? The guy who hears, hey, slow that rep down, control the weight, but instead thinks, nah, I know what I'm doing. That's the ego keeping you from leveling up. You're obsessed with lifting heavy, even when your form sucks. Are you adding weight just to say you lifted it? Are you sacrificing range of motion, time under tension, or control? Your body doesn't care about the number. It only cares about the stimulus. The sooner you realize that, the faster you'll grow. You avoid training weaknesses. You say you hate training legs, or you avoid mobility work. Or You never really challenge yourself on movements that expose your weaknesses. Why do you think that is? Because your ego wants you to stay in the comfort zone. It doesn't like to feel weak or inexperienced. You compare yourself to others instead of focusing on your own lane. There's always going to be someone better, bigger, and stronger. If you let that intimidate you instead of motivate you, you'll never reach your potential. Ego makes you look sideways at others. Discipline keeps you looking forward. And I know this is going to throw a curveball to everyone, but the ego can also be an asset if you control it. A healthy ego is often what drives people to improve. But the difference between productive ego and destructive ego comes down to this. Is your ego making you feel better, or is it making you blind? Let's look at some ways ego can push you forward when used right. Ego gives you the drive to prove yourself. When you start, there's a fire inside of you. You want to be stronger, bigger, and better. That hunger can be powerful if it's directed the right way. Ego makes you competitive, and competition breeds growth. If seeing someone stronger than you makes you think, I'm going to outwork them, then that's good ego. If seeing someone stronger than you makes you bitter, defensive, or insecure, that's bad ego. Ego can help you hold yourself to a higher standard. If you use it to demand more from yourself, push past the mental barriers, and keep raising the bar, then that's the good side of ego. Ego gives you confidence, but discipline keeps it in check. Confidence is built through execution, not arrogance. Let ego fuel you, but let humility guide you. Ego is a tool, not a crutch. You can let your ego destroy your progress, or you can use it to push forward. The key to knowing when to humble yourself and listen, and when to let your drive take over. So ask yourself right now, is my ego keeping me from learning? Is it making me avoid things I need to work on? Or is it driving me to outwork the version of myself I was yesterday? We just broke down how ego impacts your fitness journey, how it can blind you or drive you. But your ego doesn't just show up in the gym. It follows you into your business, your career, and your relationships. And if you don't recognize when it's running the show, it will wreck your progress just like it does in training. When you're building something, whether it's a brand, a coaching business, a leadership role, ego can either fuel your ambition or shut down your ability to grow. Let's talk about the signs that ego is holding you back in business. You reject feedback because you want to prove you already know it all. Are you actually listening when someone gives you constructive criticism? Are you brushing off valuable advice because you don't want to admit someone else knows better? You fear asking for help because you think it makes you look weak. Truth is, business isn't a solo game. The best in the world have mentors, coaches, and advisors. If you refuse to learn from people ahead of you, you're just slowing down your own progress. Ego says, I'll figure it out myself. Humility says, I'll learn from someone who's already got it figured out. You let pride keep you from pivoting or evolving. Maybe you built something that isn't working, but instead of adjusting, you dig your heels in because you don't want to admit you were wrong. Guess what? Winners adapt and losers stay stuck. Ask yourself, are you staying attached to a failing strategy just to protect your ego? Here are going to be some ways that ego can drive business success, only when used correctly. Ego gives you the drive to be the best. If you channel it correctly, your competitive edge can make you outwork and outlearn everyone around you. Just make sure you're competing against your best self, not trying to prove something to others. Ego makes you hold yourself to a higher standard. It can push you to create better content, refine your coaching methods, and set higher goals for yourself. The key is making sure you're doing it for growth and not just validation. Ego gives you the resilience to push through rejection and failure. Every entrepreneur, every coach, and leader will face doubt, criticism, and setbacks. A healthy ego says, I'll prove to myself that I can keep going. A toxic ego says, I refuse to change because I think I already have it figured out. Whether it's friendships, dating, or marriage, ego can destroy relationships faster than anything else. Here are some signs that ego is ruining your relationships. You struggle to apologize or admit when you're wrong. If your first instinct is to defend yourself rather than understand the other person, that's ego talking. Ask yourself, do I want to be right or do I want to be better? You see feedback as criticism instead of an opportunity to grow. If someone close to you tells you how you made them feel, do you shut down? Do you get defensive or brush it off? Just like in the gym, feedback is a gift, but only if you're willing to listen. You make everything a competition. In a relationship, your partner isn't your opponent. If your first thought in an argument is, I need to win, rather than, I need to understand, your ego is in control. Ego can also push you to be a better partner. A healthy ego makes you want to show up strong, confident, and capable for the people in your life. But instead of trying to prove something, focus on being the kind of person others can rely on. Ego gives you the confidence to set boundaries. Some people mistake ego for arrogance, but sometimes ego is what helps you stop tolerating disrespect and low-value relationships. It's not about thinking you're better than others. It's about knowing your worth. Ego fuels self-improvement, which improves your relationships. When your focus is on becoming better every day, the people around you benefit. The best relationships happen when two people are individually strong, confident, and secure in themselves. Control your ego, don't let it control you. Ego is like fire. It can burn everything down or light the way forward. In fitness, ego can push you to be great or keep you from learning. In business, ego can drive success or stop you from adapting. In relationships, ego can make you a strong leader or make you impossible to be around. At the end of the day, your ego is as strong as your ability to check it. So ask yourself, is my ego making me blind or is it making me better? Where is it helping me? Where is it holding me back? Am I willing to listen, learn, and grow? Or am I just trying to prove something? Because the ones who master this balance, they win. On to my second lesson I've learned. Keep going, the power of relentless persistence. I know what it's like to feel stuck, to feel like you made a mistake so big you don't know if you can come back from it. For me, it was when I went from being absolutely shredded at 190 pounds, maybe 10% body fat, to bulking up to 230 pounds in a year. And I'm not talking a clean bulk. I'm talking about eating whatever I wanted as long as I hit my protein goals. At first, it was an experiment. I wanted to see how much size I can put on. But when it was time to cut back down, reality hit hard. I struggled for years trying to pull that weight back off and get consistent with my diet again. I remember looking in the mirror, feeling frustrated, disappointed, and stuck. I kept saying to myself, if I could do this all over again, I wouldn't have done it. That frustration didn't just stay in the gym. It started to spill into everything. My training, my mindset, my relationships, and my work. I wasn't just carrying around extra weight. I was carrying regret. And maybe you're feeling something like that right now. Maybe you feel like you wasted time. Maybe you feel like you messed up your progress. Maybe you feel like you should be further ahead. And when you're in this headspace, it's easy to think, what's the point? It's easy to let one mistake turn into a permanent downfall. But here's the truth. The only real mistake is quitting on yourself. I had to remind myself, I didn't come this far to only come this far. I could sit there feeling sorry for myself, or I could do what needed to be done. And that's when I had a shift. I stopped focusing on how far I had to go and started focusing on just doing the next right thing. One clean meal at a time, one good decision at a time, one day at a time. That's the difference between the people who make it and the ones who don't. The ones who succeed, they stop overanalyzing, they stop making excuses, and they just start putting in the work, trusting that the results will come. And that's exactly what you need to do. The hardest part isn't starting, it's staying in it when the progress feels slow. It's shifting your mindset from, I don't feel like doing this, to I must do this because this is what I do. Why am I not seeing results? To my future self will thank me for what I do today. And this applies to everything in life. Look at this podcast. Even if no one listens, I'll keep doing it because I know I'll get better with time. And I know that even if just one person listens and gets better, that makes it all worth it. Your training is the same way. Your discipline is the same way. You show up not because you feel like it, but because that's who you are. If you're brand new to fitness, the best thing you can do is show up. Don't worry about perfection. Don't overthink every little thing. Just keep showing up for yourself. And if you're not new, ask yourself, is your ego holding you back? Are you training with intent? Are you actually doing the work? Or are you just checking the box? And if you feel like you've taken steps backwards, like your life isn't going your way, or progress is slower than you expected, remind yourself of this. Life doesn't get easier, you get stronger. The more comfortable you get with being uncomfortable, the more weight you can carry. Your strength isn't just for you, it's for your future, your family, and the people relying on you. Progress will never be linear. But the only difference between the guy who makes it and the guy who doesn't, one keeps going, one quits. So ask yourself right now, which one are you going to be? I didn't come this far to only come this far, and neither did you. This mindset translates to everything. The gym teaches you more than just how to build muscle. It teaches you how to handle setbacks, how to push through doubt, and how to show up even when you don't feel like it. And here's the thing, this mindset isn't just about lifting. The same way you fight through a tough workout, stay disciplined with your meals, and trust the process when results aren't instant, that same mentality applies to business, personal growth, and your relationships. Starting anything, whether it's a business, a brand, or a new skill, it's just like starting at the gym. At first, you suck. You feel like you're making no progress. You put in the work, but the results aren't showing up fast enough. You start questioning yourself, is this even worth it? And this is where most people quit. Not because they weren't capable, but because they didn't have the patience to stick it out. You ever see someone show up to the gym for a month, not see abs in the mirror, and then disappear? That's exactly how most people approach business. They post a few times, try something new for a few weeks, and when it doesn't blow up overnight, they give up. But the guys who succeed, they keep going. They post when no one's engaging. They build when no one's paying attention. They refine their skills, make mistakes, and adjust. They show up like it's already working because they know eventually it will. If you quit when things get hard, you'll never know how great you could have been. If you stop because you're not seeing results fast enough, you'll never realize how close you actually were. This applies to anything you want to get better at: your business, your finances, your mindset. It's not about motivation, it's about discipline and patience. Because the work you do today won't always pay off today. But if you quit, it'll never pay off at all. And let's talk about this from a personal level, because this mindset isn't just about lifting weights or making money. It's about the way you show up in your relationships. Are you the kind of person who sticks through the hard conversations? Are you the one who works on yourself instead of blaming everyone else? Are you willing to grow, to admit when you're wrong, to be better? Because just like in the gym, just like in business, most people quit on relationships the second things get hard. They don't want to put in the work. They don't want to face their own flaws. They want the reward without the reps. But if you want something real, whether it's in love, friendship, or family, you have to be the type of person who doesn't quit when things get tough. You have to be someone people can rely on. The more you work on yourself, the better every relationship in your life will be. If you can be disciplined in the gym, you can be disciplined in how you communicate, how you support, how you show up for others. Because just like in fitness, relationships require intent, effort, and consistency. And the second you stop putting in the work, they fall apart. You don't stop because it gets hard. You keep going because that's who you are and that's what you do. So whether it's in the gym, your business, or relationships, the lesson is the same. You don't stop because it gets hard. You don't quit because you're getting frustrated. You keep going because that's what winners do. And listen, progress will never be linear. There will be setbacks. There will be moments where you feel stuck. But that's when you need to remind yourself, I didn't only come this far. I didn't come this far to only come this far. So show up, do the work, stay in the game. Because when you keep going, you don't just change your body, you change your entire life. The people who win aren't always the most talented. They're just the ones who never stopped. Lesson number 3, thinking the gym was everything. Let me tell you something. If your diet is off, everything is off. And I don't just mean your physique. Your energy is inconsistent. Your mood swings are worse. Your brain feels foggy. You feel sluggish in the gym, sluggish at work, sluggish in your daily life. A bad diet doesn't just make you look worse, it makes you function worse. But most people don't think about that. They think the gym is everything. That was me too. When I first started, I thought if I trained hard enough, the rest would take care of itself. I wasn't tracking my food, I wasn't thinking about macros, and I sure as hell wasn't thinking about eating with intent. And here's the thing. At first, you can get away with it. You're young, metabolism is firing, you can eat like trash and still make some progress. But eventually you're going to hit a wall. You start feeling off, you're not as sharp, you crash in the middle of the day, your strength stagnates, your body stops responding the way you want it to. And if you don't fix your diet, you'll never break through that wall. For me, the moment I truly understood how much diet controls everything was during my bulk to cut transition. Like I said before, I went from a very lean 190 pounds to 230 pounds on a dirty bulk. And when it was time to cut, it was a disaster. Not just physically, mentally. My cravings were all over the place. My energy was unpredictable. My discipline felt weak. I was moody, unfocused, and mentally fogged up. And I realized something. This wasn't just about body fat. The food I was eating was affecting my brain, my drive, and my ability to function at high level. It wasn't just about getting lean. It was about getting my mind and body back. That's when I finally got it. Nutrition isn't just about looking good. It's about performing at your highest level in everything. Because when you're eating clean, you think clearer, you have steady, consistent energy throughout the day, your mood is stable, you don't have those random lows. You recover faster, sleep better, and operate at your best. And when you're eating like shit, you're constantly tired. You crash midday. You're more irritable, more sluggish, more mentally foggy. Your workouts suffer, your work suffers, and your relationships suffer. This is what most people don't get. Your diet isn't just about muscle, it's about how well you function as a human. If you're feeling off, if your energy is crashing, if you're not seeing the results you should be getting, start here. Get real about what you're eating. Stop guessing. Track your food. You might think you're eating pretty clean, but if you're not making progress, you're missing something. Set a protein target and actually hit it. Most guys aren't getting enough protein, period. Shoot for at least 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Hit that every day and watch how fast your body starts changing. Stop with the extremes. You don't need a dirty bulk. You don't need a crash diet. You just need consistency. Eating with intention, not emotion. Treat your food like you treat your training. You wouldn't just wing it in the gym, right? You have a plan, a program. Your diet needs to be the same way. You are either feeding your progress or feeding your excuses. At the end of the day, your food choices control more than just your physique. They control your energy, your focus, your drive, your mental sharpness. They dictate how well you perform, not just in the gym, but in life. And if you're eating like shit, don't be surprised when everything else starts to feel like shit. So here's the real question. Is your diet helping you or holding you back? Because if it's holding you back, you already know it needs to change. Your results aren't just in the weight you lift. They're in the food you put in your mouth and in the way you operate every single day because of it. Lesson number 4, and I already mentioned this, progress is never linear. Let's be real. When most people start something new, whether it's fitness, business, or personal growth, they expect progress to be a straight line. They think, if I train hard, I'll keep getting stronger every week. If I eat clean, I'll keep dropping fat consistently. If I put in the effort, I'll keep improving without setbacks. And when that doesn't happen, they panic. They hit a plateau, they gain the weight back. They struggle with motivation, and suddenly they start questioning themselves. Am I doing something wrong? Why isn't this working anymore? Maybe I'm just not cut out for this. And this is where most people quit. Not because they weren't capable, not because they weren't making progress, because they didn't understand the reality of growth. Progress is never linear. You will have setbacks. You will have slow periods. You will have days, weeks, or even months where you feel like you're going backwards. And if you don't expect that going in, you're going to break the second things get hard. The hardest lessons come from the setbacks. Let me ask you this. When have you learned the most? When everything was going smoothly? Or when things got tough? For me, my biggest lessons came from my setbacks. The injuries that forced me to train smarter. The times I lost progress and had to rebuild. The moments where I thought I was stuck, but in reality, I was being forced to level up. When I bulked to 230 pounds and struggled to cut it back down, that was a huge mental battle. I felt like I had screwed up, like I had made a mistake that would take years to fix. But looking back, that setback taught me more than any perfect phase ever could. I learned how deeply nutrition impacts everything. I learned how important discipline is when motivation fades. I learned that even when progress feels slow, every decision I make still matters. And that's when it hit me. Progress isn't about moving in a straight line. It's about always moving forward, even when it doesn't feel like you are. Here's how you need to start looking at your progress. Not as a straight path, but as a constant cycle of leveling up. You push forward, you hit resistance. You struggle, you adapt, you get stronger. You push forward again. Every plateau is a lesson. Every setback is a test of how bad you actually want it. Every slow period is a chance to refine your process and get better. So when you feel like things aren't moving fast enough, remind yourself, the work is still adding up. The effort still counts. The results are coming even if you don't see them today. This mindset shift isn't just about fitness. It's about everything in life. In your business, you're going to have slow months, times where you feel like you're spinning your wheels. But the ones who keep going are the ones who win. In relationships, growth isn't always perfect. There will be ups and downs. But the ones who stay in the fight, work through challenges, and adapt are the ones who build something strong. In personal growth, some days you feel unstoppable. Other days you feel like you've made no progress at all. But as long as you keep showing up, you're still moving forward. And if you understand this, really internalize it, you become unstoppable. Because when you realize that setbacks aren't the end, they're just a part of the process, you stop fearing them. So the next time you feel stuck, the next time progress slows down, the next time you feel like giving up because it's not happening fast enough, you need to ask yourself, am I actually failing or am I just impatient? Is this a setback or is this a lesson I need to learn from? Am I going to let this moment break me, or is this where I need to prove to myself that I won't quit? Because the ones who win aren't the ones who never struggle. They're the ones who kept going, even when it feels like nothing is working. And that's why no matter what, you keep moving forward. Progress isn't a straight line. It's a test of how many times you're willing to get back up. Lesson number 5. The mental battle is the real battle. The truth, your body follows your mind. Let me ask you something. What's harder? Forcing yourself to train when you're tired? Pushing through that last brutal rep when everything in you is screaming to stop? Eating clean when nobody's watching? When no one will ever know if you slipped? If you've been in the game long enough, you already know the answer. It's not your body that quits first, it's your mind. And this is why the mental battle is the real battle. Because at the end of the day, your body will do whatever your mind tells it to do. You can push harder than you think. You can stick to your diet longer than you believe. You can overcome every excuse, every doubt. But if your mind is weak, you've already lost. You ever notice how people talk themselves out of things before they even try? I'm too tired to train today. I don't feel like eating clean. I don't have time to focus on my goals right now. This is how most people fail, not because they weren't capable, but because they lost the battle in their own head before they even stepped up to the plate. They let their feelings dictate their actions. And if you let your feelings make decisions for you, you'll never be consistent. Some days you won't feel like training. Some days you won't feel like sticking to your plan. Some days you won't feel motivated. But here's what separates the ones who make it from the ones who don't. They do it anyway, because they don't let feelings control their actions. They let discipline control their actions. There was a time when I almost let my mind break me. When I was trying to cut down after bulking, I wasn't just fighting my body, I was fighting every mental excuse possible. This is taking too long. Why did I even let myself get here? Maybe I should just accept this is who I am now. I had every reason to stop, every excuse to give up. And that's when I realized this wasn't about my body anymore. This was a mental battle. And the only way to win was to override those thoughts, take control, and push forward regardless of how I felt. So I stopped focusing on how far I had to go. I stopped letting frustrations dictate my actions. I told myself, just win the next decision. One clean meal, one workout, one small victory at a time. And that's when everything changed. Not because my body suddenly responded, not because the weight suddenly dropped off overnight, but because my mind was finally locked in. And once your mind is locked in, your body follows. Your mind is a muscle. And just like your body, if you don't train it, it stays weak. If you want to be unstoppable, you need to build mental resilience. Here's how. Stop negotiating with yourself. If you say you're going to train, go train. If you say you're going to go eat clean, eat clean. The second you start making deals with yourself, maybe I'll go later, maybe I'll just have one cheat meal, you've already lost. Get comfortable doing shit you don't feel like doing. You don't feel like training, train anyways. You don't feel like waking up early, wake up anyways. You don't feel like sticking to the plan, stick to it anyways. Discipline is built in the moments you don't feel like doing the work. Start controlling your self-talk. Every time your mind tries to convince you to quit, call it out. When you hear that voice say, I can't, immediately respond with, watch me. The words you say to yourself dictate your reality. Win the day, one decision at a time. Don't think about the next 6 months. Don't overwhelm yourself with the long road ahead. Just focus on winning the next decision. Win the next meal, win the next workout, win the next challenge. And if you do that enough times, you'll wake up one day unrecognizable. The strongest person in the room is the one who wins the mental battle. So ask yourself right now, are you letting your feelings dictate your progress? Are you making decisions based on comfort or commitment? Are you stronger than your excuses, or are your excuses stronger than you? Because the people who win, they aren't the most talented. They aren't the luckiest. They aren't the ones with perfect genetics. They're the ones who wake up every day and say, no matter how I feel, I'm going to get it done. That's the real battle. Win that and you win everything. This isn't just about fitness. This is about every aspect of your life. You ever walk into a room and instantly feel someone's energy? The person who's locked in, focused, and present, you can tell. The person who's scattered, unmotivated, and mentally checked out, you can feel that too. Because the way you show up mentally doesn't just affect you, it affects everyone around you. If you're mentally strong, your people feel that stability. If you're mentally weak, your people feel that instability. And this applies to business, relationships, leadership, everything. Because when life gets hard, who are you going to be? The person who breaks under pressure, or the one who steps up and leads? When people think about success in business, they focus on strategies, marketing, and networking. But none of that matters if you don't have the mental toughness to show up, stay consistent, and execute, especially when things aren't going your way. Here's where most people fail in business. They only work when they feel like it. Just like the gym, business is a game of consistency. You're not always going to feel inspired. Some days, it's a grind. Do it anyways. They crumble when results don't come fast enough. Just like fitness, progress isn't linear. Some months are slow, some moves don't work. But the ones who win, they keep showing up. They let self-doubt kill momentum. Am I good enough? Will this ever work? What if people don't care? That's the same weak voice that tells you to skip the gym, eat like shit, and quit when things get hard. You either control that voice or it controls you. Mental toughness in business means showing up and executing no matter how you feel. It means doing the work even when no one is watching, even when no one is engaging, even when success isn't immediate. It means being the leader that people can look to when shit gets hard. And that brings me to my next point: showing up mentally in relationships. Let's be real. The way you show up in your relationship is a direct reflection of your mindset. Are you present or are you distracted? Are you disciplined or are you inconsistent? Are you building something strong or are you coasting? Because just like in business, just like in fitness, relationships require mental effort. Here's where most guys fail in relationships. They check out when things get hard, when stress builds up, when challenges hit, they pull back instead of stepping up. Instead of handling conflict, they avoid it. Instead of leading, they disappear. That's mental weakness showing up in real life. They make everything about themselves. If your mind is always focused on your own stress, your own struggles, your own needs, you're not showing up for your people. Strong men hold space for others. They don't just take up space. They don't work on themselves, but expect great relationships. If you're not taking care of your body, your mindset, your emotional control, how do you expect to bring anything good into a relationship? The people around you deserve the best version of you, not the tired, burned out, mentally weak version. If you want strong relationships, you have to be a strong individual first. If you want people to trust you, rely on you, and respect you, you have to show up consistently, not when it's easy. If you want to be the leader in your family, your relationship, or your circle, you have to handle your own mental battles first. This is bigger than just you. Your business needs you to be mentally locked in. Your family needs you to be strong and stable. Your relationships need you to be disciplined and consistent. If you're mentally weak, that energy spreads. Your team starts losing focus. Your partner starts questioning your ability to handle pressure. Your friends and family stop depending on you. But if you're mentally strong, that energy spreads too. Your people see you grinding, and it inspires them. Your relationships feel safe because you're stable. Your mindset commands respect because it's earned through discipline. You don't just train your mind for yourself, you train it for the people counting on you. So ask yourself, how are you showing up mentally in your life right now? Are you leading by example or are you making excuses? Are you a source of stability for the people around you, or are you mentally fragile when things get tough? Because the strongest person in the room isn't always the biggest guy. It's the guy who can handle pressure, the guy who stays disciplined when no one else does. It's the guy who keeps showing up for himself and for his people. So train your body, train your business, train your skills. But more than anything, train your mind. Because once you master that, everything else follows. The strongest man isn't the one who lifts the most weight. It's the one who carries the most responsibility without breaking. Final reflection, and that has to do with community. For 12 years, I trained solo, and I took pride in that. I showed up every day, no matter what. I didn't rely on a training partner, a coach, or external motivation. I built myself through sheer discipline and self-accountability. And I told myself, I don't need anybody. But here's what I never realized until now. There's a difference between being independent and being isolated. I wasn't avoiding a community because I didn't need one. I was avoiding it because I never had experienced the right one. Until now. Recently, I found something that changed everything. I found my people. A group of like-minded individuals who aren't just in the gym to train. They're here to be great. The harder I push, the harder they push. The more accountable they are, the more I am. The higher the standard we hold ourselves to, the more we grow. And that's when I realized this is what I was missing all along. Because this isn't just about lifting weights. This isn't just about showing up to the gym together. This is about a collective mission, a group of people who all want to win, who all want to see each other succeed, who refuse to let each other slip into mediocrity. We push each other, check each other, and hold each other to a higher level. And the craziest part, the moment I stepped into this group, I realized I had another level in me that I didn't even know existed. Here's what happens when you surround yourself with the right people. Your standards rise. You can't cut corners when the people around you are pushing themselves relentlessly. If they're leveling up, you either step up or you get left behind. You become even more accountable. When your people are committed, it forces you to be committed. If you start slipping, they call you out. Not to tear you down, but to remind you of who you are. You push yourself harder because you're not just doing it for yourself. When you train alone, you can stop whenever you want. But when you're a part of something bigger, you don't quit because you know they're counting on you to show up at your best. You develop an environment where success is the only option. In the right group, winning is normal. There are no excuses, no justifications for slacking, only results. But here's the thing. Being a part of a strong community isn't just about support. It also means getting called out when you're slipping, being held accountable when you're not doing what you said you would, not being allowed to settle for good enough. A real group doesn't just hype you up, they challenge you to be better. If you're not putting in the work, they'll let you know. If you're making excuses, they won't tolerate it. If you're not living up to your fullest potential, they'll remind you of what you're capable of. And that's what separates a real group of people from just a bunch of guys who go to the same gym. This isn't about ego or competition. It's about growth. We push each other, not to tear each other down, but to lift each other up. And that's the kind of group every man should strive to be a part of. If you're listening to this and you don't have a community like this yet, make it a priority to find one. Because here's the truth. You will rise or fall to the level of the people you surround yourself with. If you're around undisciplined, excuse-making, comfort-seeking people, you'll start cutting corners. You'll start making justifications. You'll start normalizing mediocrity. But if you're around driven, relentless, high-standard individuals, you'll naturally push harder. You'll elevate your discipline. You'll normalize success. So look at your circle. Are they pushing you to be better, or are they keeping you comfortable? Are they calling you out when you slip, or are they enabling your excuses? Are they on a path of growth, or are they just existing? Because if the people around you aren't challenging you to level up, they're keeping you exactly where you are, and you should want more than that. So ask yourself, who are you surrounding yourself with? Are they making you better or keeping you comfortable? Are they pushing you or are they just there? Because I promise you this, when you find your people, everything changes. You train harder, you think bigger, you hold yourself to a higher standard because you're surrounded by people who expect nothing less. And once you experience that, you'll never go back. A man is only as strong as the standards of the people he surrounds himself with. Choose your people wisely. Over the last 12 years, I've learned a lot. Some of these lessons came from trial and error, some came from failures and setbacks, and some, like finding my people, came later than I expected. But looking back, every single one of these reflections shaped me. Ego is the enemy. The biggest thing that holds back most people isn't genetics, time, or bad luck. It's their own ego. The sooner you drop it, the sooner you'll actually start growing. Stop lifting for validation. Stop rejecting advice because it makes you uncomfortable. Be coachable, be intentional, be a student of the game. Keep going no matter what. There will be times where you feel stuck, when progress is slow, when you question if it's all worth it. That's the test. You don't quit when things get hard. You push through them because that's what we do. If you're still here, still grinding, still chasing that next level, you're already ahead of the ones who gave up. Diet is everything. You can train as hard as you want, but if your nutrition isn't locked in, you will always be frustrated. Your physique is built in the kitchen. Your energy, focus, and performance come from what you fuel yourself with. You can't outlift a shitty diet. Track your food. Get serious about what you're putting in your body. Because how you eat affects more than just your physique. It affects your entire life. Progress is never linear. There will be setbacks, plateaus, moments where it feels like you're moving backwards. That's normal. The only thing that matters is whether you keep moving forward. Because real progress, it's messy, it's uncomfortable and unpredictable. But the ones who succeed are the ones who keep showing up, even when it's not easy. The mental battle is the real battle. Your mind will quit you before you quit. Your mind will quit before your body. Your mindset determines everything. If you let your feelings control your actions, you will never be consistent. If you ever let doubt dictate your decisions, you will never reach your potential. If you train your mind to be disciplined, everything else will fall into place. Train your body, train your business, train your relationships. But more than anything, train your mind. Because when you win the mental battle, you win every other battle in life. The power of community. For years, I thought I didn't need a community. But now, I know better. The right people will push you further than you ever could alone. They will hold you accountable, challenge you, and expect the best from you. They will raise your standards, and you will raise theirs. If you don't have a group like this yet, go find one. And if you can't find one, build it. Because no man becomes great in isolation. So look at your life right now. Where is your ego still holding you back? Where have you thought about quitting when you should have pushed through? Is your diet fueling you or failing you? Are you mentally strong or are you letting comfort dictate your choices? Who are you surrounding yourself with, and are they making you better? Because here's the truth. Everything you want is on the other side of discipline, resilience, and surrounding yourself with the right people. So, drop the ego, keep going no matter what. Lock in your diet because food is fuel. Expect setbacks and push through them. Train your mind to be as strong as your body. Find your people and hold each other to the highest standard. That's the blueprint. That's how you win, not just in fitness, but in life. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. All right, that's a wrap for today. If you stuck around until the end, I appreciate you. Hopefully something in this episode hit home for you. Whether it's about dropping your ego, pushing through when things get tough, dialing in your nutrition, or surrounding yourself with the right people. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about fitness. It's about how you show up in every part of your life. And the way you train, the way you eat, the way you think, the way you surround yourself with others, it all adds up to the person you become. If this episode resonated with you, do me a favor. Send it to a friend who needs to hear this. Post it on your story. Tag me. Let me know what stood out the most for you. And if you want more, if you want to connect, learn, and keep leveling up, you can follow me on Instagram at MyDisciplinedMind. You can go to my website, mydisciplinedmind.com, and DM me your biggest takeaway. I want to hear what hit home for you. Subscribe to this podcast. If this helped, I've got a lot more coming. That's it for today. Now go put in the work, show up, train with intent, live with purpose, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one.